This is William Hall with Resist the Mainstream. So many of you have heard about the student loan forgiveness things that are going into place here. Well, it actually reached the Supreme Court. But before we go into this video, into this topic, just remember to like, comment, and subscribe as it helps us out here. Remember to also turn on the notifications as well so that you'll get notified when our videos go live. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. So Chief Justice John Roberts actually noticed a disturbing feature in some recent opinions specifically dealing with the student loan forgiveness. So this goes into a court case that was taking place fairly recently. But John Roberts basically made a statement saying it has become a disturbing feature in some recent opinions to criticize the decisions with which they disagree as going beyond the proper role of judiciary. So what he's getting at is this has to do with the student loan forgiveness, and you have a bunch of different people that were on the Supreme Court that in their kind of opinions are basically bashing others by saying, well, they shouldn't hold that opinion whatsoever, or saying that, you know, they're going beyond their reach and all the rest of that type of stuff. But the real story and real underlying story here is understanding specifically why this whole student loan repayment and forgiveness was gotten rid of, that the Supreme Court didn't want to do that and deemed it as basically unconstitutional. It doesn't make any sense anyways. But then also going into understanding why it's important that people understand the truth behind the situation and are understanding why we're even dealing with this stuff right now and making sure that these facts aren't misrepresented in the mainstream media, because I can assure you they definitely will be. So 6 justices actually concluded that the Biden administration's program, which canceled debt for tens of millions of borrowers, was not authorized by federal law. That administration cited as authorizing it. So the law lets the educational secretary basically waive or modify any statutory or regulatory provision applicable to the student financial assistance program. So this was all about trying to make sure that, hey, let's go ahead and ram through this debt forgiveness, and we'll give all this power to the education secretary to basically get rid of all of that, so that people are no longer beholden to any of these loans like that. But no one wants to consider the ramifications that goes along with that. I mean, that's the most important part of this. How does this affect the economy? How does this affect you long term? How does this affect everyone else? What about the people? And by the way, this never answered any of the real questions that we had about the student loan forgiveness. How many people does this affect? What about the people that already paid their student loans? Do they get something in return as a result of having to do it? I mean, what if you just finished paying yours? How does this really work, and who is this really benefiting, and what are the consequences? Because there always are some. Listen, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and everybody that is aware of that statement understands that basic economics is going to cause some type of thing that's going to happen in society, and that's basically what the Supreme Court was looking at. So basically, what their kind of general understanding of it was that the words waive or modify does not mean completely rewrite, right? And that's basically what they were trying to do. The Biden administration was putting in vague language in there to basically say, you know what, it means that we can do whatever we want. They can now get rid of all types of debt, no matter basically what that is. So this was, there was another quote here where they said, we have employed the traditional tools of judicial decision-making in doing so. The point being, this is the process, right? There's no other way around it. There's no which way around trying to skirt the facts of the matter. There's no point in having these other justices complaining about it, because the reality is that it's simply what it is. The language in it doesn't make enough sense and doesn't basically trying to overreach with the language that's in the actual statement there. So the statute, read as written, gives the secretary broad authority to relieve national emergency's effect on borrowers' ability to repay their student loans. The secretary did no more than use the lawfully delegated authority. So the majority applies a rule specially crafted to kill significant regulatory action by requiring Congress to delegate, not just clearly, but also micro-specifically. So basically it's just a bunch of crazy language, just basically meaning it was an overreach, right? And the idea is that the majority decides what they're going to decide with the Supreme Court. There's no point in trying to argue about this anymore as it stands. So Roberts said that Kagan, one of the other justices, is wrong, saying that Congress is broadly authorizing loan relief, the secretary and the president in using that authority to implement the forgiveness plan. So what he's saying is that they're all working together to try and make this happen, right? It's not just one simple thing. It's the secretary, it's the president, and it's this actual loan relief as well. So the majority instead says that it should be theirs to decide, but the fact that multiple grounds support a result is usually regarded as a strength, not a weakness. So the point is that they're right. It simply is what it is. The Supreme Court decided on it. There's no point in trying to have it go any further from where it is right now. And then Roberts went on to say, it is important that the public not be misled either. Any such misinterpretation would be harmful. to this institution and our country. And what he's getting at is that you're going to have a lot of news out there that you're going to be seeing where they're basically going to try to spin this in some way as acting like this was like some perfect plan. I mean, there was even a statement in here talking about the idea that it was going to cost like one of the Missouri counties, like, just the Missouri areas that dealt with giving out these state-funded loans, $44 million or $44 billion or something like that. I mean, you can't have this type of stuff happening. This has a real lasting effect on people out there right now. And not all of it is positive. It's not just you get rid of it and everything's okay. It costs other programs, and that means that those programs can no longer fund other students because they now owe all this extra money, because the secretary just decided to just cancel everything for people. It doesn't really work well for anyone in that situation. So we'll keep track of this because this is an interesting story. A lot of interesting situations happening here, but the reality is that we need to make sure that we stay on the right side of the truth here, because the problem is that Democrats are going to come out there saying it was this perfect thing. It was the Supreme Court. Blame the Supreme Court. They had no precedence for what they're doing and trying to spin a lie when the reality is that it just doesn't work. You can't just do whatever you want. These have far more branching effects than what is seen by just thinking about I get a free education, or I don't have to pay these debts back. So let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you agree with the Supreme Court decision? Do you disagree with that? Either way, let us know what you think. Please remember also to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications so that way you'll know when our videos go live. But with that being said, we'll catch you on the next one.